Hi, first grade. This week, we are telling time to the half hour. We learned that when we're telling time to the half hour, the minute hand, or our longer hand, is always going to be pointing down to the 6. Anytime we see our minute hand pointing to the 6, we know we're half past the hour or 30 minutes in. Now, our hour hand is the shorter one, and we learned that when we're telling time to the half hour, our hour hand is not going to be pointing directly to a number because we're not starting at the beginning, we're halfway in between this hour and the next one. So our hour hand will be pointing directly in between two numbers. This clock, it is pointing directly in between 10 and 11. We also learned that the hour hand has a space for each hour that it travels in between. And even if it's not pointing directly to it, it's still within that hour until it reaches the next number. Here is our anchor chart that we looked at earlier last week to show the different spaces for each hour. For hour 1, the hour hand will be anywhere between the number 1 and the number 2. For the 6th hour, it'll be anywhere between 6 and 7. For the 9th hour, it'll be anywhere between 9 and 10. Do you see how there's a pattern? It starts at the hour it's supposed to be in, and it goes all the way until the next one. Yesterday, we learned how to read a clock. We looked at a clock, and we decided what time it showed. So we learned that the hour hand is pointing directly in between 2 hours. This one is pointing in between 4 and 5. But even though it's not pointing directly to a number, I know that this is in the 4th hour because it hasn't gotten to 5 yet. It can't be the 5th hour until it crosses the number 5. So it's the 4th hour on this clock, and since the minute hand is pointing directly to the 6, I know it's half past 4 o'clock, or as we say, 4:30. Yesterday we read a clock and we wrote the time. Today we're going to do the opposite. We're going to read the time and draw on the clock to make it match. Let me show you what I mean. The time that we're given is 1:30. Everybody say 1:30. Good. The hour is 1 and the minutes are 30. Now I'm going to draw this clock and make it say 1:30 on it. I start with my dot in the very center, and I'm going to do my hour first. I know that my hour is 1. But since we're doing it to the half hour, my hour hand cannot point directly to my number 1. That would be when it's 1 o'clock, not 1:30. My hour hand has to point in the middle of two numbers. My hour hand is going to be pointing in between 1 and 2, just like this. It's halfway after 1. But it hasn't reached 2 yet. Now my minute hand needs to show 30 minutes. And I know that anytime it is 30 minutes past an hour, my minute hand has to point to the number 6, just like this. Notice how when I drew my hands on the clock, my hour hand is obviously shorter than my minute hand too. I can easily see that the shorter one is my hour hand and the longer one is my minute hand. If I drew them the same length, we wouldn't know which one is which. And there's my checked work, and it is right. Halfway in between 1 and 2 for 1, and pointing straight down to the 6 for my minute. Let's do another one. The time that we're given is 8:30. We have to make this clock say 8:30. So I know I'm going to start with my dot in the center, and then I'm going to look at my hour. 8 o'clock is my hour. 30 is my minutes. So since we're doing it to the half hour, my hour hand cannot be pointing directly to 8. What two numbers should my hour hand be in between on the clock? That's right, my first number should be 8, but what other number should my hour hand be in between? Good, 9. So I'm going to draw my hour hand right in the middle of 8 and 9. Now let's do the minute hand. What number should my minute hand be pointing to show 30 minutes? That's right, just like this clock, it's going to be pointing straight down to the number 6. Good job. Give me a thumbs up if you agree that this clock right here shows 8:30. My hour hand is pointing directly in between 8 and 9, and my minute hand is pointing straight down to 6. Let's check. That's right. Okay, let's do another one. This time I want you guys to help me. The time says what? What does this time say right here? That's right, 3:30. 3 is it hour or minute? Good, my hour, and 30 is my minutes. I'm gonna start with my hour, but first I need to put my dot in the center of my clock. For some reason, it wants to draw some spikes on the side too. There we go. So my hour is 3. What 2 numbers should my hour hand be pointing right in the middle of? For 3, that's right, it needs to be pointing in between 3 and 4. Just like that. There's my hour. Now we have to do minutes. I want you to take a second to think, what number should my minute hand be pointing to show 30 minutes? If you are having a hard time, start at 12 and start counting by 5s until you say 30. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. If you said 6, you are correct. My minute hand should be pointing straight to the number 6. Okay, does this clock represent 3:30? Let's check. It does. The hour hand is right in the middle of 3 and 4, and my minute hand is pointing straight to the number 6 for 30 minutes. Great job. We're going to do one more example, but I want you guys to do this one by yourself to practice before you go off and do your math share today. I want you to pause the video and go get a piece of paper and a pencil or something to write with. I want you to draw a clock. So you're going to draw a circle, and then you're going to draw numbers starting with 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then you'll be back at 12. You don't have to draw all these tick marks all around. Please just draw a circle and your 12 numbers around the clock to look just like this one. After you draw your clock, I want you to, before pushing play, draw the hands on your clock that you made to show 7:30. After you finish, push play and we will go over it. Don't push play until you're completely done. Okay, you push play, which means you should have a finished clock on your paper that you have right now in front of you. Look down at your paper that you just wrote on. Does it say 7:30 on your clock? If it doesn't, you need to pause the video and keep going. Okay, let's check our work. Your clock should say 7:30. I'm going to walk through what your clock should look like and maybe what you should have been thinking while you were solving this. The first thing you should have done is drawn a circle in the middle of your clock, a little dot. This is where your hands will start from. The next thing you should have done is said, okay, I'm supposed to make this clock say 7:30. I'm going to start with my hour. My hour is 7. I know that if I'm doing time to the half hour, my hour hand should be in between 2 numbers. If my hour is 7, I know my hour hand needs to be in between 7 and 8. So I'm going to draw my hour hand in between 7 and 8. Is that what you did? Great job. Okay, then you should have said, now I need to do my minute hand. To make my clock say 30 minutes, I know that my minute hand should be pointing straight to the number 6. Is this what you did too? You guys are so smart. Remember, it's okay if you make a mistake. We're learning. Before you said you were finished, you should have asked yourself if your hour hand is shorter than your minute hand. If they're the same length, fix it really quick to make sure that your that your hands are 2 different sizes, so we know which one it is. Great job. Let's double check our work. And there you go. Okay. Today, we practiced telling time to the half hour by looking at a time and drawing it on a clock. That's exactly what you're going to be doing for your masher today. You just got to practice it. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Schoology, and you are going to notice that right underneath the lesson in today's anchor chart, you'll see use matching clocks to a time. You're going to click on that, and you're going to either press and hold the picture and say add to photos, or you might be able to take a screenshot and crop it so that you only see this picture right here. Once you click done, save to photos, you can go to your photos, and there they are. Oops. I have both of the ones I just took a picture of. This is the one I saved, and this is the one I screenshotted. After you have the picture saved, you're going to either use markup, which you go to edit, click the 3 little dots, click markup, and you're using markup to draw the hour hand and the minute hand on your clocks to show these 4 times. This clock will say 2:30, this clock will say 12:30, this clock will say 5:30, and this clock will say 9:30. After you have drawn the hour and minute hand where they need to be for each clock, you need to click done and upload it back to the media album in today's lesson. Remember, if you don't have markup, or maybe it's just not working on your iPad, upload your picture to a Sketches or drawing app to complete it that way. Or maybe if you have a printer at home, you can have mom or dad help you print it out, and you can use crayons to draw your hands that way. Remember, this is your work, so I shouldn't be copying someone else's work in the media album. I should be doing it myself first. If you're copying someone else's work or screenshotting their work and uploading it, you're not going to learn how to match a clock to its time. And it's so important that we know how to learn this. So be honest, do your own work, and I can't wait to see all of your hard work that you did today for matching clocks to a time. Bye, first grade.